ISO 9001, and that's 2008. Whenever you see the 2008 behind it, that means the year that it was published. International Standards Organization. Anybody work in construction before? Who's in construction? One or two of you, yes? If you saw any of the pipes that went maybe into the manufacture or into the process, they'd all have BS on the side of them. Alright? And that was the British standard. A lot of the Irish standards come from Britain. It's a bit like what have the Romans done for us type thing, alright? But that's the standard. Every business has their standards. In the drugs business, is the standard high or low? There we go. In the pharmaceutical business, not the drugs business. In the pharmaceutical business, I mean. Very high, yes. If you buy a little tablet, like a little headache tablet, it's probably gone through 20 or 30 checking procedures. Checking, rechecking, before you eat it. Yes? Before you actually consume the product. In security standards, historically, have been quite low, but they're on the increase because it's all about paperwork. If you guys don't do your paperwork, the company will be exposed to legal risk. So when I come onto my site, or to site where I'm supervising, and I come on, there's 5 of you there, I want to see, where are your documents? Are your documents old or new? Are they 2010 or 1996? Do you ever go to something and you get a form, somebody gives you a form, and you look down the bottom and it says 1992 or something. You know it's an old document. So everybody's documents should be looked at every year. So the system is a standard certified by the NSAI, which is the National Standards Authority of Ireland. In security, a lot of the vehicles that do mobile patrol will all have the ISO mark on them, yes? IS 999. By the way, you'll see ISO on the side of most vehicles, okay? Now that does not really mean that you have a quality business, it just means that you've got a system. Do you know what I mean? It does not mean quality, it shows you have a system. So, all security officers' documents are part of the quality system. You've got the notebook, the assignment instructions, the health and safety documentation, the training records, the logbook and the incident book. So your little notebook I showed you, right? That's part of the quality system. Alright? Assignment instructions. Alright, that's your contract. And the contract is very important that you guys read what are you meant to do. So if you're meant to check the building 4 times a day, you don't check it twice and go for a little snooze. Alright? That's what you promised. Because the client could legally come back at the end of the year and say, oh, you only checked it twice, we're only going to pay you half the money. And I've seen that happen. Alright? Health and safety documentation. You must have a risk assessment statement for every site that you're on. So there has to be a risk assessment for here. And later today you'll do a little health and safety exercise in this building, which is quite good. Your logbook, it's kind of like James T. Kirk logbook, right? But your logbook is your activity book. Just at 9 o'clock I do this, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock. An incident book, we filled one out earlier on. The one that we showed you when you filled it out earlier on, okay? It was a good example. That's €10. Alright? Instant book. So IS 999, it's the Irish standard. So for all security companies in Ireland must comply with the PSA requirement. I get emails from people all over Ireland saying, does this cover me for the PSA? Is this the PSA course? Technically it is, but it's a VTAC course, but it's to comply, that you comply with the standard that the PSA put together with the Minister for Justice and all the leading security companies. Now, there's 2 parts to it. There's the companies must comply, and then you must comply. Alright, so if you don't comply, you can't work in security. Is it a code of conduct, would you think? Is it passing around there, guys? Do you have the book? Have you all looked at it? Yes? I don't believe you. Alright? We'll ask questions later. Is it a code of conduct, would you think? Is this a code of conduct for you? Yeah, it is. Because it's the rules and regulations. This is what you must do. The companies now, big companies that you work for, Frontline, must have public liability insurance. I have public liability insurance. Tax clearance certificate, they must be tax compliant. You must have training records. In other words, there must be a record that says you have trained. Alright? Guard the clearance for senior management, that you guys are cleared. Organisational chart, who does what? So 4 or 5 of you work together. It's very good to have a nice organisational chart saying, oh, Senan does this, Dwayne does this, Dean doesn't do much. Do you know what I mean? So, control room operations. Control room. Alright? This is one thing that should be on the document earlier on, is control room operations. Remember the circle? I knew I was missing one. The control room. Very important. One gentleman doing the course with me last year called it the room with the tellies, which is kind of funny, but it's technology. And finally, a complaints procedure. We kind of comply with ISO 9001 here because we're FETAC approved. So a key part of that is that if you have a complaint about ourselves, just drop me an email. Alright? And I will reply to you. I know I'll come back to somebody in 24 hours. Alright? Because the whole idea of quality, what do you think the whole idea of quality is? Improve. Yeah. So every month you improve. No matter what you do, it has to get better. So IS 999, not for all sections of the industry, cash and transit is separate. Remember we talked about this. Remember that. Cash and transit is a different baby altogether. Higher risk. Alright? So, covers door security, mobile patrol, guarding skills, sometimes called static. And you all have the document. Okay guys? Happy with that? So all your paperwork is part of this.